and opinion, JR. I'm the host on Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. Want you to enjoy classic jazz music anytime via WJZZDetroitRadio.com. How we doing today on this fine Saturday? Yeah, boy, we about to get down and dirty on some conversation up in here. So we got some political issues that really don't seem to want to fit together just right. Plus, we're going to talk about these lockdowns that's going on around the country. You know, with these certain governors, more so Democrat governors in Democrat states. And seeing that they want to put us all on lockdown once again because of coronavirus. Now, I understand that the numbers have, really went up. And we know this is going to happen. I mean, it's just a fact of life. But I live in Michigan, so I'm dealing with Gretchen Whitmer, okay? And she just tried to, institute another shutdown in the state, jeopardizing a lot of people's employment, financial stability, even housing, okay? Now, the thing about that is, it's not being widely publicized that we have a Republican legislative, and it's full of people that are really opposed to this government shutdown in the state. She considers it an emergency, but they sued her last time in the Supreme Court and they won because her shutdown was in essence so draconian. Now you have some Republican legislators who would like to recall her. Okay, they've thought about issuing an impeachment, or call for an impeachment against Gretchen Whitmer. Now, be it that you like it or you're against it, the bottom line is she has to go to the legislators to request that she can do certain things. She's not a dictator. She can't just, mandate certain things in this state. So they don't want to do that. And they sued her the last time she did this. And they won because it's against the state constitution. Now, we know that in Wayne County, we had a couple of serious issues this week, okay, with the Board of Canvassers, okay? That consists of 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Well, seems that there were a few irregularities in the vote, and the 2 Republicans refused to certify the vote. Well, we all know that some things happened in that, okay? There was harassment, threats, intimidation, not coming from the Republican side, but more so from the Democrat side. And these people were basically intimidated enough to where their livelihoods were threatened, and in both cases, their lives. Excuse me, they reversed their vote. But not before an agreement had been made that if they cast their vote to certify, that there would be a audit of the ballots. Well, it seems like Democrats are up to their same old funky ass tricks, because after they agreed to certify the vote, the Secretary of State said that there was no reason, rhyme, or mandate for her to do a audit. Now, that is some of the most, really, seriously, these people are really breaking every rule to get Joe Biden elected. All right? Now, the press, mainstream press, has pretty much coronated the man. They've actually just said he's won the election, even though in various states we're still counting the vote. And I have to admit, it's getting very, very damn exhausting. Okay, this shit has been going on too long. I thought it would have been over by now. Excuse me, I have to wet my palate. But, you know, the president called Palmer and Hartman. Those were the two Republican canvassers that were harassed into changing their vote. They also put in an affidavit reversing their vote after they found out the Secretary of State of Michigan would not do an audit that she promised she would do in the beginning. Okay. Look, this is getting stupid. This is really getting like beyond the realm of reason when you have like 150, 200 affidavits from various lawyers, people who have witnessed actual malpractice taking place in this election. These affidavits, these are sworn affidavits, okay? Penalty, perjury, okay? You perjure yourself, you're going to jail for 5 years. Do you honestly think all of these people, the ones that seen the truck pull up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, with hundreds of thousands of ballots, they thought it was food. They ran out to the damn trucks because they thought somebody was bringing them food, okay? Hundreds of thousands of ballots, all of them for Joe Biden, all right? You really mean to tell me, Wayne County now, you mean to tell me that these canvassers did not have a justifiable reason to say there was an imbalance and we need to understand and explain how this imbalance took place before they certify the vote? Are Democrats so desperate to put Joe Biden in office that they will break even the most simplest rules? Seriously, they won't even let Republican observers look at the ballots being opened up, even in the recount, to match the signatures with the ballot. They don't even want to do that. And that's a rule. That's a law in that state. Okay? A lot of the court filings that the president and his lawyers are putting forth deals basically academically with those simple facts that you can't have a judge or an official change the rules of how an election is ran at the time the election is being run, okay? The legislators make the rules and set the rules on how an election in that state should be ran. You can take this whole case straight to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would agree. Now the question is, and this is the one question is the biggest question, how do you remedy this, okay? How do you remedy votes being cast, obviously, for Joe Biden? Well, in one case, it's been reported that in one of the affidavits that when all of these ballots came in, they had perfect circles on one candidate, Joe Biden. Okay, all of them was for Joe Biden, but there was no down ballot. There was nobody on the ballot beyond that. It was just simply Joe Biden. All right, that can be probably remedied by simply looking. Okay, you see it's nothing else on the down ballot. You see it's just Joe Biden. You take that pile, you crap that, you trash that. Okay, we can solve that problem. But then you have the other issue of connecting the ballot with the person, but you can't because the ballot that is connected to the person, and I know this is getting in the weeds, I know it, I understand, but these are some of the arguments that are valid. When you are breaking your own laws to achieve a certain goal, you have to question why in the hell are you breaking these laws and to what gain is it? Because you have to understand there are a lot of ways this situation can come out. The reason why the president will not and has not conceded is because there are avenues. There are truly avenues. If you can prove without a shadow of a doubt that there was enough corruption in this election to throw this election, then guess what? Trump becomes president once again. And you may think I'm lying, but one of the things that has been lacking in today's educational system is called civics. We had that back in the day when I was in school. And in civics, they taught us history. They taught us the Constitution, certain aspects of it, of course. They taught us how to fill out tax forms. Yeah, we did that. How to open a bank account. What else did they teach us? Oh yeah, how to vote. You know what the voting system was about and everything else. Now this was civics back in my day. Now I had to draw back on some things because when I started hearing all of the stuff that was going on with this Dominion voting machines and how they can switch votes from one candidate to the other candidate, how they could drop votes for one candidate into a folder and then drag that folder and drop it in the trash. I mean, it was just so much information coming out about these Dominion voting machines that it made me have to go back and look at the raw source. The raw source is the Constitution, okay? It has a remedy for all of this. And a lot of us don't know that because in some cases we've forgotten it. In some cases, we don't give a fuck about it. In some cases, it's like we've never known about it. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain ways that the president still can be the president and it will be legal and it will be legitimate. Because as things stand right now, there are too many questions about this election. And no one's really asking the number one most important question. The number one important question. And that is, if Joe Biden ran for president, explain to me how he never had anybody at none of his fucking rallies. We've got 50, 60, 70,000 people showing up at Trump rallies, and you really think these people wouldn't go vote? Seriously? You've got maybe enough people to put inside of a press box fooling around with Joe Biden. And you want me to believe that Joe Biden is really the president of these United States. Now, like I said last week, if all of it pans out, then I would agree and I'd have to stand by him because he's my president as well. But here's the thing about it. I've been researching a few things, and it comes down to where you have congressional legislators right now, that are honestly speaking about going to the Constitution to resolve all of this. And going to the Constitution can resolve it, okay? But let's be real about it. You have people right now that are going to Trump rallies and supporting the president and waving their flags and waving their Trump paraphernalia because they believe in what the president stands for. Now, this happened last week where one guy was jumped on, kicked in the head, Trump supporter, and left bloody. Then another woman was punched in her head by, I don't know, Black Lives Matter or whatever. They arrested the young lady that punched the woman in the head. But what is somewhat surprising to me is that in the midst of all this chaos and this violence that's taking place, your presumptive president, Joe Biden, hasn't said a damn thing. But he's consistently talking about he's going to bring the nation together. Let me tell you something. You can't bring together a nation that doesn't actually look at you as legitimate president. The same thing they've been telling Trump for the last 4 years. He's not the legitimate president. He's not. The Russians helped get him in, or all this chaos that the Democrats have brought on this nation. Now, if you honestly don't think, wait a minute, change the subject. Hold up. I gotta address something because it just bing popped in my damn head. We had a Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal shootout at the station. Okay? And the way I was told, my brethren, my political brethren, were gonna be on deck. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gonna stand alone. All right. I was gonna be hip deep in the midst of political conversation, trying to get our philosophies and our thoughts across to one another, and letting you decide, the listener, the viewer, who had the stronger argument. But yet and still, fell a little short on that one, because only 2 of us showed up. 2 conservatives, just 2. Look, if you're going to espouse the conservative viewpoint, live it, talk it, walk it. If you got to put it on deck, put it on deck. What's to be scared of? You, whoever you are, that said you were coming to the shootout, left me and another brother, I think his name Dave, left us out here hanging. Do you know how many liberals, how many Democrats we had to fight off? But we held our own. Now back to what I was saying. I jumped off subject because I had to go there. That just is viscerally. Okay. Now, for all you people, like I said, Brandon, I'm sorry. It's not Brandon. Brandon and I were the only 2 here battling out with these liberals and these Democrats, and we were swinging for the fences. Just me and Brandon all by ourselves. It shouldn't have been that way, because I understood when this thing was supposed to pop off, it was supposed to be, evened up. It was supposed to be enough conservative, enough Democrats to where we can really get down to the meat of the matter, but it didn't work out that way. But nonetheless, hey, thumbs up, Brandon. I appreciate you coming through. It was quite a show. If you was here for like I was, man, they was swapping Democrats out. Boy, they had a big bench. They bench went on forever, because they'd have guys lined up in here. I'm sitting over here all by my little self, and they would just swap out one and they just move over and another one come and fill in his space. Did they let me out? No. You're checking us out on you're watching Facts and Opinion with JR on Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. Enjoy classic jazz music anytime via WJZZDetroitradio.com. We want you guys to check us out on that, because, hey, that'll get you together sometimes. Now, like I said, with all the corruption that's being reported, all of the suspect voting that has taken place, because, you can't really validate all of this stuff, no matter how much you may want to sit back and say, well, this is this and this is that. Look, we've known for years, decades, corruption takes place in our elections. This is actually the very first time it's been so blatantly done in everybody's face. Let's be honest. This is really the very first time we actually see the corruption taking place in our face. If you watch those numbers coming in at election night, seems kind of funny that Joe Biden, if you look at the graph at a certain point in the night, Joe Biden didn't have an incline like you would normally expect. This a slow, steady incline. This man went from at the bottom straight to the top. And you don't have a question about that shit? Seriously. That doesn't raise suspicion in your mind that something might be wrong. Okay, well, let's just say this then. If that don't make you suspicious, if that don't, shake your cage a little bit, then explain to me how in the hell, if voting stopped, counting stopped in a number of states all at the same damn time, when they saw that Trump's lead was getting out of hand, it broke the damn program that was running the damn voting machines in the first place. And it happened in a variety of different states all at the same time. And that don't really get you to wait, hold on, something don't seem right. That don't make your roach antenna stand up. Really? Seriously? That don't get you to say, I might want to slow my roll and check this out. Because again, I repeat, the office of the president-elect. We're talking about Joe Biden again. The press, the mainstream media, the ones that are backing the Democrat Party, so to speak, pretty much gave this man the election before the election was even done. The election, matter of fact, let's be honest, the election fucking ain't done either. Right now, it's not done. They still counting ballots. They still having court cases. They still trying to understand how all this stuff is connected together. And don't get me wrong, they have to do it about a certain amount of time, so they really moving at hyper speed to get this thing taken care of. But a lot of us don't know about the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. The 12th Amendment to the Constitution is one of the most serious ways that this situation can be resolved. And if we go to the Constitution, which a lot of congressmen are really considering doing, and actually openly express that they are really want to do this, is because it looks really bad right now. Everybody knew Jimmy Carter, Gary Hart, a lot of individuals knew. They wrote a letter, they knew that mail-in ballots was fraught for fraud. Okay? This is no surprise to anybody. We're not sitting here scratching our heads like, hey, what happened? We know what happened. This was designed to be this way. The Democrats, let's be real, they knew. They could not beat this man in an honest, fair fight. You put up the same thing you put up last time. You put up a dead old, unsuccessful politician. Let's be real. You put somebody up against this man, just like you did with Hillary Clinton. You brought her tired ass out because you thought it was her turn after her husband, after Obama. You guys keep pulling out these old messed up ass politicians and then want to run against us. Our guy who has proven his point, has a proven record, has successfully accomplished what he said he was going in to do and then some. And you mean to tell me I'm supposed to accept the results of this election that looks shady as hell? I don't give a fuck if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're a liberal or conservative. You know in your motherfucking heart, this shit looks shady. And I'm supposed to just give it all up and say, I'm going for Joe. Now, like I said last week, if this been proven, this man done did all the fights he could fight, talking about Trump, and he can't get no further in this, then I have no choice but to accept Joe Biden as my president, stand up for him and respect him and hold him down. All right? But I'm not going to do it until the time comes for that. I'm not going to run around here screaming, oh, well, Biden's the president. That's a bald-faced lie. Look, if the president wants to really be a president and he really wants to show his Mac Daddy move, if he really wants to get down into the weeds with this, okay, go to the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. Do you know what that is? I didn't think so. Let me help you get you together on this real quick. The 12th Amendment to the Constitution, it really is a combination of Articles 1 and Article 2. The 12th Amendment is also some federal statutes that are combined together, okay? You understand what I'm saying, right? It ain't just an amendment. These are certain articles and statutes that give the power to the people to make this choice constitutionally, okay? They basically say in combination, all says that Congress shall meet on January the 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The President of the Senate shall preside over Congress on the floor of the House of Representatives, okay? Now, that's just a part of that amendment to the Constitution, the 12th Amendment, all right? The states in alphabetical order shall report their certified electoral college results. Now, remember, we're not actually arguing over the ballots, the vote. That's behind the scenes. You get there by what this is. You get there through the ballots. You get there through the vote to this point, where each state in alphabetical order certifies their certifies their electoral college results. Okay. Now, however, if one congressman and one senator decides not to accept those results, if one congressman and one senator combined refuse to accept the results in any state or multiple states, guess what happens? Oh, I'm sorry, you two. My bad. I'm sorry. This is a little bit too in the weeds for you. But let me just walk you through this part, okay? If they refuse to accept any of that, it triggers a floor vote in the House and it triggers a floor vote in the Senate on whether to accept or reject the state's electoral college submissions. And it has to be done within 2 hours of the submission or rejection. So this is not going to go on where you got a senator, which we know we got some senators on our side that, you know, they down with Trump. And you got some congressmen that are, you know what I'm saying, they down with Trump. They in red states. And all this shit look kind of fishy. You really don't think these congressmen are going to come together, this senator and one congressman going to come together and say, I don't accept Pennsylvania's vote. I don't accept Georgia's vote. Okay? You really don't think this is going to happen? I don't accept Nevada's vote. You really don't think this is not going to happen? With the president we have now that is telling you that this election has been rigged. You really don't think that's going to happen? Because if you don't think that this is a possibility, that it could happen that way, then I got a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you and I need some money right now. Come get it. Because you're naive. You're not paying attention. And the press, they are the biggest, they are actually doing a disjustice to the American people. Seriously. Because when Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and the young lady that is helping with the case out of the White House, Jenna, I forget her last name. When they presented the information that they could present, because truth of the matter is, you can't lay out your whole case if you're going to take this to court. You can't lay out your whole case in front of the American public because now it's public knowledge and it doesn't become a court case. Okay, it doesn't. You can't adjudicate that. So they laid out as much information as they could, giving the press the opportunity to fall through and investigate this. They haven't investigated any of the affidavits. They haven't investigated any of the accusations on Dominion software. They haven't investigated anything on Smartmatic and reported on it. Maybe they have. But they haven't reported on it. And if they have reported on it, let's just be real. They haven't been fair about it. And we as the American people are supposed to accept this? Okay, look. Let's just say we all tuck our tails and run and say, okay, Joe Biden is the president. Okay, just for the sake of saying we're going to keep down the rise, we're going to make sure don't nobody be out there fighting and shooting and killing up one another and all these other different things. We just going to keep it like that, right? You ever heard the saying that to surrender your freedom for security, you don't deserve neither one? Seriously. If you want to surrender your freedom for more security, you don't deserve to have either one. Because what you are doing and what the president is trying to do should be on the same level. Okay? You have people right now that are having rallies. These are like homegrown. President Bush isn't leading. President Trump isn't leading any of this. Okay? He's not there. These are homegrown, grass-grown rallies for the president, supporting that president. You haven't seen anything like this in your lifetime. I haven't. I have never seen a president. Now, you had Obama, but I ain't going to get into that. There were people that love the man. They still care about and respect him, all that good stuff. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's going on right now. What we're talking about what's going on right now is that you have millions of people that are not going to accept this election with all of this fog hanging over it, with all this shade cast across it. It's not going to be accepted. And the reason we shouldn't be accepted is because we should demand more as an American. Because this kind of shady stuff and accusations being thrown out there, look, nothing has been proven. These are all accusations, okay? Everything that's being said, everything that's being talked about are all accusations. There's no proof yet. But this is Republican. Let's talk about the Democrat, okay? I do not recall all this visceral, all of this anger, all of this hostility, all of this just hatred. I don't recall any of this in 2000 when we had the hanging Chad incident that went on for 34 or 37 days. I don't remember any of that. I just remember people getting really irritated and frustrated by the fact that just getting tired of seeing people look at Chads through microscopes. Okay, look. You're watching Facts and Opinion on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. All right, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. And don't forget to enjoy jazz music anytime via WJZZDetroitRadio.com. The phone lines are open. If you want to, you feel free. Give me a call. We can talk about the amendments or your thoughts on this COVID shutdown that we really going through. Because this is stupid, man. Look, we could have COVID and we could still live. We can manage it better. So we don't have to actually cut off our nose to spite our face. We don't have to actually sit up here and give up our freedoms for security. We should be able to have both. And if you're an American, you shouldn't think any other way but that way. Now, we all know that some of us have health issues and some of us can't expose ourselves in that manner. But knowing this means that you take those precautions not to expose yourself. Some people don't have that issue. And to shut down the schools, you shut down a lot of people from being able to work and provide for their families because now they have to find daycare or they have to figure out how they can balance their lives with a child that stays at home, but their lives had already been structured around being able to send their kid to school and go to work themselves, providing for their household. The shutdown aspect of this is not being considered. See, Democrats always want to think about emotion. They always want to come at you with emotional arguments when, from a conservative vantage point, we sometimes tend to think more logical. But Democrats come at you with all this emotion. They tell you that this is this and that is that, and you should feel this type of way. But if that's the case, then explain to me how you can feel all right by shutting people down, knowing they can't work, knowing they can't provide, knowing they can't take care of their kids the right way. But you're supposed to be a feeling party. Republicans are saying, go to work. Keep everything open, but use precautions in order to still have your freedom. It doesn't mean that you have to just shut everything down on a whim, or if you figure that things have gotten all out of hand. You still have to let the American people, the American public, make that choice for themselves. Don't eliminate it. Don't just snatch their freedoms away and their rights away. Give them the information that they need, because you guys the government has that information. Give the American public the information that they need in order for them to make the conscious decision to adjust. They know their way of living is better than anybody else. Each individual know how they want to live, and each individual know how they want to progress through life. That's one of the things about America that make us great. We can make our own choices. But you remove those choices when you put in these crazy mandates, shutting down companies, shutting down business, shutting down bars, shutting down this and shutting down that. These people have businesses. These are these people's livelihoods. If they can't come up with a way to make their area safe or stay compliant to the rules that are already established, then it should be on them to make the decision that they can't run, they can't be open. But it shouldn't be on some government bureaucrat to tell us all what we can and what we cannot do. It feels as if it's outside of what we were told. We have rights. And those rights are given not through man, but by God. And you got your little laws, you know what I'm saying? You got these little, regulations and edicts. But the bottom line is, if you shut me down, and like you shutting down a lot of these companies and businesses and restaurants and stuff, I can't make a living and they can't either. So I think myself personally that that's a little bit much. You can call in. Phone numbers on the screen, 313-355-6018. Welcome any calls and any opinions, because I'm down for whatever you may want to talk about. But right now, this coronavirus is really like causing us a lot of problems when it comes down to agreeing to disagree. Okay, I agree that I don't want to be in a shutdown. Okay, just like a lot of other people agree they don't want to be in a shutdown. But Gretchen Whitmer, our governor, disagrees with us. Now, look, politics are politics. I mean, come on now. Look, we still got Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada that are in question during the presidential election. Those states are still in question, okay? And the reason why they're still in question is because of all of these invalid ballots. Now, if you really don't think, I'm coming back to where we left off at. If you really don't think the 12th Amendment apply, then you're sick in your head. Because it might not have worked out with, let's say, George Bush. He's a coward. Might not have worked out too good for who? I'm just trying to think of who would have been a cowboy enough like Trump to say, I'm doing it the constitutional way. And really, to be honest with you, I don't really remember a president of this caliber. And I've been here for quite a few of them. I can name them from Johnson all the way up to Barack Obama and the current one. Okay, I'm talking about Lyndon Baines. I wasn't here when Kennedy was here. That was before my time. So I'm talking about Lyndon Baines. But the thing about it is I can name them. And I kind of figure from that point to this point, remembering how they were, I don't recall a president having balls like that. Now, the only one I can actually say that might have been even considered to be closely resembling that might have been George Bush, the first one. But that's because of the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, and how he built this coalition and talked all this shit and all that crap. But the reality is, up until this point, I never thought I would see a president take the constitutional route to maintain his office, okay? And I really believe he could do that. Now, a lot of you guys will find that to be wrong and atrocious, but what you don't understand is the founding fathers put this in as a safeguard against things that are going on right now. And if you're mad, then you have nothing to do but blame your Democrat leadership for the motherfucking tricks that they pulled out. This ain't done by Republicans, okay? This influx of votes, the unbalanced tallies, all of this isn't done by Republicans, it's done by Democrats. And then they want to point the finger at us like it's all our fault. That party has been a party of chaos. The leadership in that party has been a party of chaos, all right? From Nancy Pelosi all the way down to whoever the hell you want to call for. The whole party is corrupt. You're trying to steal a legitimate election that you knew you was going to lose. That's the problem. They knew. If this was a fair fight, if this was a fair election, we all know Trump would won. And it's not actually clear he lost, to be honest with you. So I'm still ride or die Trump, because this ain't over. Now, like I said, if Biden, excuse me, I got to wet my palate because I've been running off at the mouth for a minute here. Now, if Biden win, I'll be surprised, but I'll still support the man. Now, one of the things about Sidney Powell, she's very good appellate lawyer. She works for the president right now. Just want to give you a little heads up on something. There was a raid last week in Germany to get a server that was connected to some of the voting machines. You know, the ones we were using to cast our ballot for leadership. All right. Well, the Army went in there and they basically raided this joint. They got the server, and you know, last week Sidney Powell was asked a question as to who has that server. And she said that she didn't know if the good guys had it or the bad guys had it, which means that there are forces in our government that are causing all types of chaos. But I think we all know that and have known that for a while now. Look, you got the Bay of Pigs. All right. Look, listen. Let me give you a quickie real fast, okay? Now, this is opinion. This ain't fact, okay? Remember, this is facts and opinion with JR. This is my opinion, all right? So let me lay it out for you real quick. What President Trump is going through right now is tantamount to what John F. Kennedy had to deal with, okay? Now, they say John F. Kennedy was assassinated by one guy. Okay, maybe, but I say bullshit. Look, the CIA, as well as the FBI, and a few military people were a little upset with Kennedy about what happened with the Bay of Pigs. What happened with the Bay of Pigs is when the CIA got all of these soldiers together to go rush up in there on the beach to try and get rid of Fidel Castro, the shit went bust because they got stuck on the fucking beach. All right? And Kennedy refused to send air support. The motherfuckers got wiped out. They got caught, they got captured, they got in prison. Okay? That's history. We all know what happened to Kennedy after that. Now, being that we all know, we can't actually put our finger on it because they won't release the information. But we all know just by certain shit, ain't nobody stupid. We know some people killed that man for some of the things that he stood for, okay? We gotten a little wise, a little smarter now. And it's not as if something happened to Trump, we not gonna know, okay? It's not gonna be like we don't know. But what they doing now, they're not trying to destroy him physically. They're trying to destroy him politically. They have tried for 4 years to get this man out of office. First, he was an illegitimate candidate. Then they tried to impeach the man. Then they said he had problems with Ukraine. Then he said it was hooked up with Russia. They investigated the man for the whole goddamn time of his administration. Never found not one damn thing again. Look through his business dealings. Look through his kids' lives. Now they trying to steal an election from him. And it's obvious because we all can see it with our own eyes. But some of us don't even face up to the truth. We're walking through life in this fog. Like, we don't see it, but we know what's going on. We looking dead at it. Are we that stupid to believe that these son of a bitches that's running this thing are on our side? The American people, that's our side. I ain't talking about black folks, white folks, Asian folks. I'm talking about the American people, our folks. Do you really think that these people that have done this are on our side? Because you can please call me. I'd like to talk to you about it. If you think these people are with us because they support Joe Biden, you please call me. Let's find out where you coming from with that. Because it's obvious from day one, they didn't want to give this man a fair shake, referring to President Donald John Trump. They didn't want to give him a fair shake. Now, I have supported a variety of candidates in my time, all right? I supported Bill Clinton. I like Bill. I thought he was a cool cat. I voted for him both times. I even voted for Al Gore, all right? So I'm not hypocritical about mine. I keep it honest. Yep, I keep it honest. I voted for both of them. Let me see who else I voted for. No, I couldn't vote for Carter. Well, anyway, moving on. Point being is, I voted for them. And I didn't think they were bad. I didn't think they were perfect, but I didn't think they were bad. And when Bill went and got him a little cap in Oval Office, I thought that was between him and Hillary. Shouldn't have been a whole lot of newspaper articles about the blue dress and Lewinsky. That was between him and his wife. But Republicans drugged that shit out and just went crazy with it like they had something against the man. And they did it because they knew they couldn't beat him.
This room right here feels okay.
Well, I'm going to hit you with this one more time. You're watching Facts and Opinions on Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. Enjoy classic jazz music. anytime via WWJ W wait a minute, WJZZDetroitradio.com. I'm sorry. Okay, look. Republicans drugged this man through the mud and made him look bad, all because they couldn't beat him. I'm referring to Bill Clinton. But let me tell you, Bill Clinton had welfare reform. Bill Clinton did some things, all right? He had jobs and prosperity going on. I give Bill that. You got to do something good when you fucking up. You got to cover that shit up somehow. But he didn't do it by himself. He had a Republican House and he had a Republican Senate who was demanding these changes. And he had Newt Gingrich poking him in the back. But he had all these things done. So when Clinton left office, he left with a good record. Now, we ain't talking about all them old crooked-ass pardons he did. We ain't talking about that now. You know, he letting folks out 24 hours before his ass is out of there. So we ain't gonna do that. But let me say this, though. We didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Republicans went ham on that, man. They drug out that blue dress and all these accusations about the women he raped and all the dirt he done. Again, I repeat, that was business between him and his wife. And if his wife was cool with it, I don't know how in the political world that shit should have made a bit of difference, because that's personal. Now, if he running around doing things he ain't got no business doing, but doing his job at the White House, that's the key. All right, that's definitely the key. But the argument that I'm trying to make is it makes no sense for all of this rigmarole when it comes down to Trump. Trump has done the things he said he was going to do, all right? And he done them real good. In some cases, you may not like his attitude. You may not like the way he do what he do. But do you think this president deserves the type of treatment he has gotten over the past 4 years? Now they're trying to steal an election from this man, and they doing it in our face. They're not even doing it behind our back. They're doing it in our face, because you got to ask yourself. Like I said, the improper balance on the ballots and stuff, we don't know exactly how they are. They don't have signatures on these ballots. These states are going against their own laws that they had put in place before this election. You have judges changing the law, which that's not even their job. Legislators make and change the laws. Judges are not supposed to change the law. They're supposed to interpret the law. So for them to sit up here and change what was ballots in on election day to add 3 more days when the legislative didn't say do that, that's breaking the law. These cases that Trump and his lawyers are bringing are legitimate cases. They're not talking about it in the mainstream media based on the fact because it actually puts a lot of weight on their chosen candidate, their preferred candidate. There was a decision made not too long ago in Pennsylvania regarding marks on absentee ballots, where there were different color pens used on those ballots, and the board of canvassers agreed with the Trump campaign. So, not knowing exactly how many ballots it is, but it is a sizable number, they're taking those ballots and setting them aside. They're not counting them in the recount right now because they're questioned, completely questioned. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to get to the bottom of this, but it would seem to me that at a certain point in time, somebody's going to have to answer some serious questions and answer them sincerely about what's really going on when it comes to these ballots. Because if we don't have a clear understanding of who it is that's doing this and who it is that's giving up this bad information and giving us these bad ballots and giving us these bad counts, I think that's doing a disservice to the American people, because we don't have the opportunity to address our decision in the way we want to. We want to be able to pick our leaders and be able to be comfortable in the fact that who we chose is on our side and they're doing what we want them to do because we elected them to do those things. But if they're not doing those things, then we can vote them out. But if the whole deal is crooked, guess what? We're not voting anybody out because they're going to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and they don't have to be accountable. And I think that that's not the way the founders actually wanted things to be in this country. So we need to address a lot of stuff before this thing gets out of hand. And Trump is doing the best he can to address some of these things. And I'm sure, excuse me, I'm sure that there's going to be a reckoning once all of this is done, said and done, and once the real truth comes out, because you can only hide a lie for so long. And I believe this whole situation is just a bunch of BS, and nobody want. I mean, you have elected officials in these areas that it appears they have taken bribes in order to put these Dominion voting machines in their districts and stuff. Now, that hasn't been proven, but it does look as if that may be a situation that's going to have to be addressed, because now it means that some of these people have received money for doing something illegal that they knew was not really that good on its face. And I don't know how any of us can just sit back and accept this as if it's nothing wrong with it when we know for a fact this whole little thing looks really shaky, really shaky. And that's just common sense. You know what I'm saying? It's just common sense. It's not even to say that you choose one side or the other. It's just to say that common sense puts you in a position to question certain things. I mean, you may not even want to accept it. You may not want to look at it and say, okay, well, maybe he has a point. But that's lying to yourself, okay? Bottom line, that's lying to yourself. You don't have to agree with me. Only person you have to agree with is yourself. If you think this is reasonable, if you think this is rational, if you think everything is going the way it's supposed to go, and it's been the same in every election and all the other elections up to this point, then okay, cool. I can't change your mind. All I can tell you is it don't look that way. It don't seem that way. Don't feel that way. I mean, all the information I'm hearing is consistently telling me something's wrong with this election. But again, like I say, they have a remedy. It's called the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. And if need be, that can be activated. Because we should not have an election where even the candidate looks somewhat suspicious. We still haven't addressed any of this stuff with Hunter Biden and his son. Hunter Biden and his father. So we've about to wrap it up. And we're going to get ready to call it because it's coming down. It's getting down to that time. And it's been real for the day. But I do know I am somewhat surprised that this whole thing is still going on like it is. And I would like some type of resolution to come about, because it would seem to me that if all of this stuff is equal and everybody's on the same page, then we should be able to look at this situation and say, okay, we don't want corrupt leaders running our country, leading us astray, or telling us that their way is the best way by misleading us to believe that. I just think we should have people that honestly want to look out for America because of America. Well, we about to get ready to wrap it up. Call it a day. So it's been fun. I want you guys to check me out tomorrow between 2 and 3 here on Facts and Opinion with JR on Wjzz Cool TV, live streaming on Facebook,